Last year on the stage, I told you a little bit about my story and how I came to this work, inspired by my mother, who worked long hours to provide for her family. In the years since, I've been humbled by the opportunity to get to know so many of our clients and hear their stories. That includes Magnolia Alvarez Velasquez, who we are celebrating tonight with the Partnership Award. Like my mom, Magnolia is an immigrant. She works long hours to support her family too. Magnolia starts her workdays in the wee hours of the morning, preparing tamales to sell in our neighborhood. There should be a whole separate award for her salsa, by the way. As I conclude my first year as executive director of this more than 90-year-old organization, I'm proud that we get to share some of what we accomplished and the stories of some of the people that we met along the way with you all tonight. I'm particularly proud of the more than 100 people who work long hours alongside our clients in the fight for justice, my wonderful legal aid colleagues. Please stand. All right, not all of them stood, but anyway. I've seen firsthand their dedication to our clients, their legal acumen, and their commitment to justice. It is a genuine honor to work alongside them, even if some of them have terrible taste in reality television. Last year on the stage, I also said that legal aid isn't just an organization. It's a promise, a commitment from a city's legal community, from the people in this room really, to our neighbors, that when they face a life-changing legal crisis, they don't have to do it alone. I'm proud that at Legal Aid, over the last 12 months, we have done our part to keep that promise. We made sure Robert McCord didn't have to face the legal system alone. Robert came to Legal Aid after he was sued by his landlord for eviction. The landlord alleged that he owed more than $20,000 in unpaid rent, a shocking amount considering that he had a subsidy that was supposed to cover that rent. After a months-long investigation, housing attorney Brian Rohal discovered that DC had been paying the subsidy to a different landlord for an apartment where Robert had never lived. Thanks to Brian's advocacy, the DC Department of Human Services took responsibility for the mistake, corrected the voucher issue, and Robert's landlord ultimately dismissed that case. Robert now lives in a safe apartment without the threat of eviction hanging over him. And it's not just Robert. In 2023, at Legal Aid, we accepted more than approximately 1,300 cases for full representation. That was a 16% increase from the year before. But we aren't satisfied with just 16%. In the first 3 months of 2024, we have accepted 76% more cases than the same time period a year before. We made sure Jenna Harris wouldn't have to face the legal system alone. Jenna walked into our Northwest office after she was sued by the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection. The agency alleged that she operated an illegal nail salon out of her home and sought up to $10,000 in fines from her. It was immediately clear that the complaint was based almost entirely upon false allegations by a disgruntled former employer. Armed with advice from legal aid attorneys Tom Papson and Megan Ocean, Jenna cross-examined the key government witness and investigator and extracted a concession that he had never even gone to her home. She proved that she did nothing wrong. The judge ultimately ruled in her favor, and Jenna can now continue her freelance work without these fines hanging over her. But it's not just Jenna. In 2023, we worked to make our services more accessible to our clients. And in doing so, we met with nearly 4,750 clients, a 22% increase from the year before. But we aren't satisfied with just 22%. We continue to make our services more accessible to our clients, and in doing so, we have seen a 54% increase in clients in the first 3 months of this year compared to that time last year. We've also used the legal system to vindicate the rights of our clients. About a month before our clients were to see an increase in nutritional assistance benefits, thanks to nearly $40 million that the council had appropriated specifically for that purpose, the mayor's office announced that it would not implement the law as written. We got to work alongside our pro bono partners at Zuckerman Spader, including David Reiser, Ivano Ventresca, and Steve Herman, and our wonderful clients, Katina Cheadle and Maria Alexis Jackson. We drafted a complaint and a motion for preliminary injunction in a matter of weeks. We explained in that injunction motion how our clients stretched at the end of each month to put food on the table. In response to our lawsuit, the mayor's office backed down and implemented the program, and our clients started receiving benefits in February. It should not take the threat of a lawsuit to get the government to honor its commitment to our most vulnerable neighbors. But when it does, legal aid will be there. Thanks to our work together, nearly 1 in 5 district residents have more food on the table at the end of every month this year. So many of you have joined us to make sure our neighbors wouldn't have to face the legal system alone. Last fall, we relaunched our Housing Right to Counsel project, which guarantees lawyers to a growing subset of tenants with subsidies who are facing eviction. We did that in partnership with 5 other legal service providers, nearly 24 law firms, the federal government, and the Office of Attorney General Brian Schwab. These are some of the most vulnerable tenants in the district. An eviction can mean loss of a subsidy and loss of an ability to live in the district at all. This time last year, the council also joined us to make sure that fewer of our neighbors would have to face the legal system alone. Under the leadership of Chairman Phil Mendelson, council members Brooke Pinto and Charles Allen, the council undid a nearly 60% cut to our budget that the mayor had proposed. Unfortunately, to keep our promise to our neighbors this year, the council will need to do even more. That's because in our budget that she released last week, the mayor has proposed a 67% cut to legal services funding for next year. It should not be an annual fight to get money to provide the most basic services to our neighbors. Nearly 1 in 3 of the people that you saw stand earlier, a third of my colleagues, are here because of this funding. It is critically important that we reverse this cut, and to do so, the council needs to hear from all of you. I know that many of you are probably already on your phones by this point in my remarks, so I ask that you take a second to scan the QR codes on the table in front of you. They are not menus for your entrees. Instead, and they're also behind me, and please send a note to your council members explaining that this funding is critically important and needs to be restored. It won't take more than a couple of seconds, and I promise you can do it right now while I'm talking. At Legal Aid, over the next year, we're going to keep doing our part to make sure that our neighbors don't have to face the legal system alone. We are going to help more clients in 2024 than in any previous year. We're going to make our services more accessible by opening new community clinics that will make sure that our neighbors can live in safe and healthy homes. And we're going to stand up to anybody who breaks the law and harms our clients, whether that's a landlord, a debt collector, or the government itself. Thank you all so much for being here and helping make that happen.